we would like to introduce the columnist and author. She's previously CEO of Planned Parenthood, Rhode Island, and is a former top WPRO talk host. Help us welcome lifetime advocate Mary Ann Sorrentino.
I'm sorry, but the traffic was like, forget about it. And it's hot. And I'm short. I'm sure you're all tired, but imagine how tired I am. I have been doing this, battling this battle for 44 years. I know I don't look it, but it's true. My first encounter with the whole abortion discussion came in 1963. I was a sophomore in college. I was about to go for my junior year abroad in Florence, and this woman in my class had been chosen for my roommate. And she lived on my floor in the dorm, so I already knew she was a really hot number from New York, and she'd already slept with about 12 guys. I still hadn't figured out how to tie my shoes at that point. So, being the good Catholic young woman that I was at the time, I went to the dean and said, I can't be the roommate of this girl when I go to Florence. And she said, why? And of course I wasn't going to tell her she was a slut, so I said, well, we just don't think this is. So she said finally, that's not a good enough reason. So she became my roommate, and we actually became best friends. And over the years, I watched her assorted adventures, and one day she came home when we were roommates and said that she was pregnant. Now here I am, I'm in Florence, I'm a good Catholic girl. I said, well, we have to figure something out because you have to have this baby. She said, no, I'm not having it. I said, what are you talking about? Well, long and the short is, this woman on her own in a foreign country with very little money, we were students, she found the way. This is my first lesson that I learned and remembered. You will not force a woman to have a baby she doesn't want to have. You can't do it. So she's either going to use us, in those days, a coat hanger or whatever and hemorrhage on the kitchen floor and die, but she's not going to go forward if she can possibly avoid it. But she found somehow where they had a clinic and whatever, and it wasn't legal in Italy either, and she went away, and I was left alone in the room in the house where we were renting this room that the college had arranged. And I was terrified because I thought, suppose something happens to her and her mother doesn't even know, and I'll have to tell her. Oh my God. And then over time, I realized the other second greatest lesson of my career. I came to the point where I realized I cared more about that woman than I cared about being pro-life, so-called. So that was a huge lesson. She survived, and as I said, she's no longer with us, but we became very close friends. So I've been at this all these years. I became the executive director of Planned Parenthood in 1977. Many of you weren't even born yet. And we had just opened the first freestanding abortion clinic in the state of Rhode Island. So, in the course of this day and this chat that I'm going to have with you for the next few minutes, I'd just like you to take away, if you don't remember anything else I say today, I want 2 words to stick with you forever. Never again. As some of you know, Planned Parenthood was an idea that started really in the head of a woman named Margaret Sanger, who was a public health nurse. And from an Irish Catholic family, I like to add, because we all get enlightened eventually. And Margaret Sanger said, "No woman can ever truly be free until she can control her own fertility." Have that tattooed on wherever you have your tattoos. I know that some of you who haven't even been in this as long as I have feel some days, and this is probably one of them, as if we're not making any progress and we're never going to get rid of this and it's going to always be a nightmare. That's wrong. The fact is that we're here today in these large numbers with all of this enthusiasm and commitment, and we have incredible energy, and we're going to win because we are two things. We're convinced and we're committed.
Yes.
We're convinced that it's our right to control when and if we will, if ever, have a child. And that is a necessary, treasured, and inalienable right that we have to make that decision. So that's when we start to say with passion those two words, never again.
Never again.
You got it. We're committed to defending the right that we will not return to the inhuman bondage of forced pregnancy. So let them hear that battle cry every day. Never again. That's it. We in Rhode Island are especially proud. We live in the most Catholic state in the Union, yet we have stronger reproductive freedom laws than many states with less religious pressure on them. So first I want to, before I forget, take my hat off. I don't have it on, but if I had one, I'd be taking it off. Hats off to the lobbyists, the supporters, and donors on our side. And I want to say special thanks, and if he's here, he's going to be mortified because he hates attention. But Steve Brown of the ACLU and Lynette Labinger of the ACLU. Without the ACLU in Rhode Island especially, we would have long since been down the river. They save us every time. I want to thank the physicians and the clinic staff and all the people who make this medically possible. And I want to recognize with special gratitude the corps of enlightened Rhode Island voters, lawmakers, and supporters who have buoyed us up with and have helped us to get through all of the significant pressure that we have been under and remain under. But we know it'll stop because we know that we're going to go to never again. Never again, every time. So often those adversarial forces are led by xenophobic hypocrites whose private lives are often rife with perversion themselves.
Yes! Yes!
They should spend more time doing penance for their own sins, in my opinion.
Yes!
But to all who have and still support us in this centuries-old battle, we pledge you to hold our ground, and we vow to continue going forward. And in every step of the way, we'll be shouting,
Never again!
That's it. You're so good and fast learners, really. So ask yourself now, why am I really here today? Each of us has probably a personal answer to that question, a private story they might or might not want to share. But collectively, we're here to give voice to the women of yesterday who gave their lives fighting for reproductive options and were slaughtered in the unsafe, unsanitary, inhumane absence of safe, legal, surgical choices.
Yes.
To those women and the men who supported them, and to our mothers and daughters, our granddaughters, our sisters, our wives, our lovers, and others, we promise with conviction that those days are over, and we make a pledge of
Never again!
That's it. I thank the organizers and each one of you participating today in this impressive display of commitment and power. I've been in this battle for more than half of my life. I'm proud to represent our cause. Please promise me today that when I'm no longer here, those of you half my age and younger will continue the fight whenever it is necessary. because they will continue to test your strength and determination forever. And when that happens, you must always respond with a passionate, sincere, and determined,
Never again!
I love you all. Thank you.